On any given day, about 5,000 people are living on southern Nevada streets. The homeless crisis has been compounded by the pandemic, skyrocketing rents, and a severe lack of affordable housing. So you'd think any effort to solve the problem would be embraced, especially if it's already working in other cities. But we've discovered officials in our valley have rejected one group's solution, hurting the very people state law says it's supposed to help.
It hurts. I'm sad and angry, all in one ball of confusion on why. I want to know why.
What did they take from you when they took your...
My life. And now I sleep on the damn sidewalk because of this.
Take everything but my hope. You know, it's beginning to dwindle.
Angela, Allen, and Savage are used to having little hope, but they got a glimmer in this undeveloped lot in North Las Vegas, near Martin Luther King Boulevard and Cheyenne. What did you see it as a stepping stone toward?
Independence, getting your own and passing it on to people less fortunate.
For once, I was like, yes, I can do this. I can stay clean and sober. I can create, draw, I can become anything I want to be at that moment.
These three have been homeless for years. They credit Joseph Lankowski for trying to change that.
Right here was the entrance. There was a big swinging gate.
Joseph bought this parcel of land with a vision to create a community of tiny homes with help from volunteers through his organization called New Leaf.
So there's three pieces to these tiny homes. There's a floor, and then there's a front wall that has a door, and there's a rear wall with a window.
By tiny, we're talking about 50 square feet, a footprint that's barely bigger than this ping pong table, but it's a small space that offers something immeasurable, peace of mind.
So now they've had a place to call home. They had a tiny home where they could lock the doors, so then they could actually go out and get services without having to worry about getting your things stolen or anything like that.
A great idea that met a hard reality. According to North Las Vegas code, this parcel is zoned for a single family home. The requirement for that is a minimum of 1,200 square feet. The tiny homes would not meet that, but there's a catch.
There is no zoning for what we're trying to do.
New Leaf decided to move forward, hoping to ask forgiveness instead of permission with a new state law to pave the way. Senate Bill 150, passed in 2021, requires large cities and counties to create a new set of building and zoning codes to allow for tiny home communities in certain places. Officials have until 2024 to make that happen. Lankowski argues the folks living on the streets don't have 2 years to wait.
We don't have time to be sitting on our hands when we have these resources and the ability to help people. You know, we don't have time to be waiting for politicians' inactions, so we just went ahead and started building.
The city of North Las Vegas could have embraced the effort and the opportunity to put the new law into practice. Instead, they tore it down.
The only thing that mentioned a demolition on anything they posted was actually something saying this is not a demolition order.
On April 12th, North Las Vegas bulldozed the huts where Angela, Allen, and Savage were beginning to rebuild their lives.
Counselors brought us birdhouses for hummingbirds, and they destroyed them.
Turning their new beginning into the same old story.
It's been like this my whole life. Everywhere I go, I'm not allowed to be there.
In the aftermath,
One of my shoes and a lot of my clothes and stuff are still like in this rubble right here. It's like it was nothing.
the trio says they've lost that glimmer of hope and the very things they need to get out of homelessness.
Social Security card, birth certificate, it took me forever to get these things. You know, I was going to get my ID on a certain date.
It's important to note there was no complaint filed by nearby residents or businesses about the tiny homes. Instead, code enforcement took action after a city employee saw a fence made from recycled pallets and reported it. North Las Vegas acted on this search warrant that allowed code enforcement to remove, demolish, and dispose of all non-permitted or deteriorated structures. Despite multiple requests for an on-camera interview, North Las Vegas city officials declined to speak to us. Instead, they provided a statement which says in part, The city tried to get New Leaf to correct violations since December of 2021. The first zoning violation notice was issued January 4th. The parcel is zoned for a single-family home, and accessory uses are not permitted until the primary use is fulfilled.
You can see there's still a broken window left.
Lankowski says his group was bringing some issues into compliance and appealing others within the 30-day time period noted on the civil citations, but city officials sent 13 investigates other violations with a 10-day window to appeal, which they claim the group missed. They also say the appeal process for a civil citation is independent of the process for appealing abatement orders. Lankowski says it's important to know why New Leaf bought land to build on. He says that's what they were told to do after this happened. This video shows the destruction of tiny homes at the Wash near I-15 in Owens. It was November 30th, 2020, the height of the pandemic, when shelter in place was a government mandate. An encampment of makeshift structures had been there for years, but officials bulldozed the 28 homes New Leaf built. It's against the law to build on public right-of-way property. Lankowski says he was told to do it on private land. First, New Leaf tried building tiny homes on trailers, parking them in places where everyone has a right to park, but police tagged them as abandoned and towed 2 of them away.
So after that happened, we were able to raise funds to buy a plot of land, and because their whole argument was property, this is our property, it's not your property. And we said, okay, we'll buy our own property.
As we said earlier in our story, they did not get permits for these huts, but the structures are based on a design proven to work and be safe.
I designed the Conestoga hut.
Eric DeBure is with Community-Supported Shelters in Eugene, Oregon.
We chose the Conestoga hut because of the cost effectiveness and its ability to be built by volunteers with little to no construction experience. It's kind of like a Lego set.
New Leaf consulted with Eric's group, which established its first tiny home community nearly a decade ago.
If code enforcement's whole premise is safety, what's more safe? Being in a tiny home on private property or being out on the streets?
DeBure says criminalizing and running off the homeless isn't doing anyone any good.
It's just constant game of shuffle them around, move them around, don't let them get too comfortable.
There's much more to know about this solution to help some break the cycle of homelessness. Tomorrow at 6, my special report continues with a look at how tiny homes are working in many other cities. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.
Any given night, more than 5,000 people are living on the streets here in southern Nevada. More than 10,000 will experience homelessness at some point each year.
That's right. In 13, Chief Investigator Darcy Spears continues her report on how a solution that's helped thousands of people in dozens of other cities has been rejected right here in our valley.
I can put my belongings down. I'm safe. I don't have to be around pimps. I don't have to be around dope pushers.
A roof over your head, a door you can lock, and a sense of safety. That's what advocates say is fundamental to breaking out of homelessness.
Well, being homeless is a struggle.
Many exist in constant survival mode.
Homelessness itself is a full-time job.
Eric DeBure is co-founder of Community-Supported Shelters in Eugene, Oregon.
You have to think about where you're going to eat that day, how you're going to, clean your clothes, how you're going to move around your stuff, how you're going to protect your stuff, where you're going to sleep, how you're going to rest.
And it's tough, because you're treated like nothing in the streets.
The idea of providing tiny shelters to the homeless isn't new. They've been doing it in Eugene for nearly a decade.
By providing for people a place to have a locking, safe place where they can have some stuff and sleep, that eliminates a lot of the work of being homelessness, and people can start to get their head on straight and thinking about, okay, what next steps can I take to improve my situation.
Eugene's first community was established in 2013, and now from coast to coast, dozens of cities are embracing a variety of tiny home solutions. There are numerous sites in the Los Angeles area. Denver has them too. They're in Kansas City, Detroit and Nashville, Tampa, Florida, and Syracuse, New York. There's even this one in Reno. But here in Clark County, on April 12th, The city of North Las Vegas bulldozed a group of tiny homes built on private property.
And then once you came in through the entrance,
Property owned by Joseph Lankowski and his group New Leaf. It's where Angela, Savage, and Alan
It was a blessing. It was a blessing.
were beginning to rebuild their lives.
What did it mean to you to have this opportunity? What did it represent for you looking forward in your life?
For one, achievement. Being human and loved.
The destruction cost them the key things they need to get out of homelessness.
Social Security card, a birth certificate. It took me forever to get these things.
There were no complaints filed by nearby residents or businesses. Code enforcement took action after a city employee saw a fence made from recycled pallets and reported it. North Las Vegas code enforcement officials got a warrant that gave them the go-ahead to remove, demolish, and dispose of all non-permitted or deteriorated structures. North Las Vegas declined multiple requests for an on-camera interview, providing a statement instead, which says in part, by flagrantly ignoring codes and regulations, the property owner created an unsafe, unsanitary condition on the property to the extent that it was deemed uninhabitable.
We had first aid kits, we had water, they were going to install showers.
Lankowski says he tried to find the process for zoning and permits.
and we ran into a dead end because there is no zoning. There is no zoning for what we're trying to do.
With donated materials, he and his group of volunteers decided to build first, ask forgiveness later.
The need is just too great out here.
He was hit with several code violations in April of this year, saying his group was fixing some and appealing others, expecting due process, but getting demolition instead.
I'm angry, I'm hurt, mad. It's sad. The whole damn thing is just sad. You take us from something and put us back. It's sad. It's just sad.
Having consulted with community-supported shelters in Eugene, Lankowski thought North Las Vegas would see he could make something similar work for the homeless here.
Walls, roof, carpeting, everything was right. It was right.
13 Investigates talked with Eugene Mayor Lucy Vinnis. She says tiny home sites there have not blown up into shanty towns or become a major safety problem.
The opposite has been the result because we've made a commitment as a city to invest in the facilities that we need in order to enable these to be safe places.
An investment Mayor Vinnis says actually saves tax dollars.
Just health costs alone, just visits to the emergency room alone, when you consider the cost of public safety.
And the cost for public works to clean up encampments.
We have to make those investments now because the costs just keep building. It doesn't go away.
Mayor Vinnis says it's also a huge relief for law enforcement.
This is absolutely what our police department wants. These sites, once they're established, they're clean, they're safe, they're well managed. There is no negative impact on the community at all.
It's important to note, officials here tell us the city's homeless outreach team has connected with Angela, Savage, and Alan.
All they give you is excuse my language.
Angela is beyond frustrated with the seemingly endless wait for real help and approval for housing.
Well, we're going to put you on this list and we're going to come check on you, but it's always pending. They give you a granola bar and a bottle of water and just have a nice day, you know?
Advocates say that points to the overall problem of how homelessness is approached in the valley.
They need a leg up to be more productive citizens, and it sounds like the city cut that leg off at the knee.
Absolutely. You know, they need not a handout, but a hand up, and that's what we're trying to do is help lift them up. And what the local government's approach is, unfortunately, is kicking people while they're down, you know, by criminalizing homelessness, making it illegal to be homeless.
No one expects tiny homes to be the solution for everyone. It's just one piece in a mosaic.
It's not just a hope and a prayer. It is confidence in human beings that if you give them an opportunity and you support them, they can begin to build a better life for themselves.
A message the folks who briefly lived here hope our city will take to heart.
We had so many dreams and opportunities and plans, and they just took it. like, you know, we're trash, and that's how I feel they're treating us. Like we're trash and we don't deserve to have a place to live.
In addition to North Las Vegas, we reached out to the City of Las Vegas and NDOT. Both were involved with destruction of shelters near I-15. You can read their statements on our website at ktnv.com. We also reached out to elected officials who say this is an opportunity to find a process to make tiny homes for the homeless work in Clark County. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.